one of his favorite actors actually is Johnny Depp. Yes. He has he's an entrepreneur. He's a really positive energy. You could say a Zayabista guy, right? Well, he'll be talking and doing some Angular magic. So, without further ado, Nir Kaufman. Put your hands for him.
I am the laser beam. Yeah. No, I'm kidding. I'm not the laser beam.
Yeah!
How many of you have been using Angular? All right. And Angular 2, 3, 5, 6, 7, whatever. Well, one of the things that people say about Angular when they just start using it, but we are using it for years, so it's kind of magic. You do something, abstraction, you don't know what's going on, and thing just happens, yeah? You know those kind of people? So I'm here today to demystify Angular directives, sorry. But let me get rid of this silly hat. No? No, you want me to keep it? Ah, all right. So let's make a deal. I'll keep it on me, and then I'll ask a question, and the one who get the right answer, I'll just throw it away, and you can catch the magic hat with all of the stuff I put in my hair. So wash it, please, before you use it. Anyway, nice to meet you, everyone. I'm very happy to be here for the third time in Warsaw, in Poland. My name is Nir Kaufman. I'm a Google developer expert. I'm the head of Angular at a company in Israel named 500 Tech, traveling the world, speaking at conferences like this. And as I said, it's my third time here, and I'm really happy to be here again. I'm also a community leader, which means that I run several meetups and interesting projects back on Israel. So you can check it out if you like, especially this front-end band stuff. And as I said, today I'm going to speak with you about Angular magic, all right? So let's start. We are going to talk about directives, because directives, I think, are the most like magical thing. You put something very declarative on your templates and things just happens. So let's start by talking about directives categories, because on Angular 2 and above, it's a little bit different. In AngularJS, all we got is just a directive, and we can do everything with a directive. So in Angular 2 and above, the directive role is to create, reshape, and interact with elements. When we're talking about creating elements, a directive would look like this. We all know this directive as a component. And if, how many of you knows that in Angular actually component extends directive? Not all of you. So component is a directive in Angular. It's a directive, and the role of this directive is to create an element. The other role of a directive is to reshape the elements. We call it DOM manipulation. In the Angular world, we call it element manipulation because we not always have a DOM. Here's a very popular reshaping directive, the ng4. The third part of directives are directives that interact with the elements. We are not changing the structure, but we're adding some kind of behavior. I think the most famous and popular, maybe, the one that survived from AngularJS is this one, the ng class. Okay? So this is 3 types of directives. Now, as I started my talk by saying abstraction is magic. You put a line on your template, and there is some implementation, and we've got these strange asterisk things right there, and then something happened. And most of the time, everything just works, so we're happy. But sometimes, if you don't really understand what's going on behind the scenes, you're trying to do something like this. Has someone ever tried to put two structural directives on an element? No one ever? Get an exception? Yep. All right. And did you solve it? Cool. All right. But most of you didn't. So we want to learn what's going on behind the scene because we don't want to be this kind of magicians. In Angular, we want to be this kind of magician in Angular. All right. There is no magic. We just need to learn. So we've got two options. I can show you a lot of slides with a lot of those spatial effects and animations, stuff I did. And we can go to WebStorm and do some live coding. Who's for live coding? All right, cool. Let's do it. Let's start with the ng-if. So I've got here project generated with Angular CLI, nothing in here except this app component. And ng-if is a very useful and popular directive. Let's create an input checkbox. Let's put this magical ng model, the famous banana in a box. We'll deal with it later. Let's say pointing on the flag. Let's start this flag with true and put here some stuff. ng-if assign to the flag, and we see the content. Now we don't see it. Magic. Yeah, magic. But actually, this asterisk, this strange asterisk right here, is just a shortcut. Behind the scene, Angular creates a template tag, a standard HTML template tag, which is a mechanism built inside HTML. Angular wrap it in a special directive named ng-template. So if I want to write the exact same code, but in another way, it will look like this. ng-template, ng-if, simple binding to the flag, and inside of here, I can put my content. So this is what we write. This is what the compiler generates. And the compiler generates just a standard code. It's ng-template component with an input name ng-if. And that's it. Both of them should act exactly the same way. So the answer for the first question, if you ever try to put two structural directives on a single element, one of them should use the template directly, because Angular don't know how to wrap both of the elements with template tags. But that's not fun. Let's build an ng-if by ourselves. So I'm going to generate a new directive. Let's call this directive if. Surprise. And because I know that this is the end result of the compiler, just a template with a simple binding to if, I have all the information I need to write a directive. So if I got an input, using the same name, I've got an input under the name dd if, which is the selector of the directive right here. And it will accept a flag. And because Angular compiler generate a template, I want a reference to this template. So I'm going to ask for the reference. Template, give me the template reference, and give me a reference to where the template was declared, so I can put the element back inside my template and get it out. It's called the view container ref. So if I got a reference to my template and a reference to the view container where the template lives, let's just make it right, private, private. All is left to do is to check the flag, and if the flag is true, I can take this entry, use the create embedded view, and put the template inside. And if it's false, this entry should be cleared. And this is the basic behind ngIf. That's it. Let's give it a try. Instead of ngIf, let's replace it with ddif. Get rid of all those errors, and everything works exactly as before. Cool? Cool? So, there is no magic behind ddif, just understanding what the compiler do. Each time you want to write your own structural directive, you build a simple directive, you call it with an asterisk. Angular will generate a template, so you can inject the template ref. And once you've got a reference to the template, all you've got to do is just, in a certain conditions, to put it back inside. All right? But let's do something more interesting. How many of you know about this feature? I'm taking back to ngIf. I'm going to use not an h2, just a dummy component. This is a dummy component in Angular. The ng container does absolutely nothing. And then I'm going to use two ng templates. One of them I'm going to give them a ref content. And the other one, let's call it alternative, alt content. Because ngIf can be extended. I can write my ngIf like this one, flag, then show me the content, the content, yep, else show me the alternative. How many of you knows about this feature? Not enough. Now you know. Powerful. So the ng container is just for marking the logic. And now I can see the content, and if it's false, it's the alternative content. But again, once you understand what's going on behind the scene, I can replace it with my ddif, and all I need to do is put some more inputs right here. Input named ddif then, and input ddif else. So now I can create component with this ddif then, and else I can put this one here, ddif else. And it's much more powerful now. Everything works exactly like before. Almost. Almost. I forgot to clear it. But you get the idea. I mean, it's all about just simple binding and understand what the compilers do. And I've got the exact same behavior, but now it's much more robust. Cool? Cool. All right, let's see another spatial effects. Ready? Dun, da, dun. 4 hours. It's take to do this kind of stuff with Keynote. All right, ng4. We already know what these asterisks do. So let's jump straight to the code. Let me clean everything up. Let's take all of this, throw it away. Let's build a very simple array. Let's call this array colors. Let's put here red and green and blue. Just a quick reminder, I can put a p tag ng4 let color of colors and show me the color. All right, back to the browser. Here are the colors. We already know that this asterisk generates a template tag. So let me show you how the compiler understands this code. It will look like this, ng template. First of all, it will take the name of the directive and put it on the element to create an instance. Then it will take the name of the directive, suffix with this of world, the world that in between the let color and the array, and generate an input like this. ng4 of simple binding pointing to the array. And the last thing, you will take this let color and create a reference on the template. This is standard Angular. If you don't know about how to create variables on your template, learn it. Very powerful. This is how it looks like. All right? And again, I'm expecting that everything should work exactly as before. Why I don't see nothing? Because it's ng template and inside of here there's nothing. Makes sense. Color, we can throw it away, and I'm expecting that everything will work exactly as before. All right? If you got this kind of information, that it will take the name of the directive, suffix with this off, this word in the middle, and then bind it to the array, and then just define a simple variable, we can write our own. So let's do something much more nice. Let's build our own ng4, but we call it, of course, dd4, and let color, but instead of off, let's call it foo. Why? Just because I can. Okay, so our for directive. Sorry. Let's generate a directive. For directive. We already know about this template thing, so I can just go ahead and create an input. And as you remember, it will take the name of the directive and put the foo. So I got an input dd4 foo. dd4 foo will accept an array. And exactly as before, I can take a private template ref, and let's make this disappear, go away, and reference to the template, to the view container ref, excuse me, where the template was declared. Let's make it private. And all I need to do now, if I got an array, is take this array, simple loop for each, and for each item of this array, just take this entry, just like before, create embedded view, use this template, but now I'm going to pass a configuration object and say, you can put whatever variable you want, this let color of colors, let item of items, I don't care. I have a special keyword, implicit, and it will point to the item because I'm inside of an for each loop. All right? Cool. So basically that's it. I can come here, go back to my template, and nothing works. Let's see what happened. Let color of foo colors, dd4, forgot something? dd4, input dd4 off, accept an array, item, create embedded view, everything seemed to be alright. Don't worry, sometimes it's happened like live, with live coding. Let's try the easy way. dd4 off array for each item of this array. Alright, I've got a backup just in case that in live coding things won't work. So for my rehearsal, this is my for directive, which I think this exactly the same code. Ah, the set, yeah, of course. Alright, cool. So there is not a lot of magic now. Let's do this fun stuff just to make sure that I can put whatever I like here. So instead of 4, we use this foo just to show you, okay? And it still works. Take a look on this code. This is the basic for the ng4 directive. So you can take this code and write your own for directive that run over an object, if you like, or another data structure. It's not a big deal once you understand template, entry, and what the compiler does with this shortcut. All right? All right. Let's do another one. You have power for more? You want more? Yeah. All right, cool. Oh, the banana in the box, the ng model, the famous ng model. All right, let's do a quick one. Remember with AngularJS, when I just got started with Angular, I went to the website and there was this example. They took an input, AngularJS, not Angular 2. Put an ng model. Let's do it the Angular 2 version, but you know what I'm talking about. Put an ng model, I don't know, name, all right? And then name here to show us this two-way data binding. Remember this example from AngularJS website? And then you write like this, and two-way binding. And I'm working with Angular for 6 years and never put it in a real application. Never used this feature. Never put an input and then binding in the template, but it's cool because it's two-way binding and it works. So what is the magic we have the banana in the box? Actually nothing. Again, just understand what Angular do. What Angular does is taking two events and again playing with names. I can write this, I think I can write it like this, ng model, just ng model, and bind it to the name. And this one will be ng model change. And here I can take, I think, the event target value and say that the name does this. And maybe it should work almost. Property value of undefined. The event target is undefined. And as I said, almost. Let's do a trick. Input, let's take a reference to the input and replace this with reference to the input, and now everything should work. All right? So this is a lot of code, and the ng model directive, this banana in the box, just give us a shortcut for this, and that's it. So let's say I want to write a directive. Let's call this directive counter, or dd counter, and let's say that this counter has a value named counter, and I can use this banana in a box and give it a value, and just like before, bind this value here. How do I write a directive that have the exact behavior? So now that I know that the compiler will take the name of the directive and suffix it with a change and make an event, I can go back to the code. Let's generate a component. Let's call this component counter. Go to counter. Let's build a simple counter component. Button, bind to the click. This will be increment. The other one will be decrement. Right here I'm going to put my counter value. I'm going to create a counter value. All right? I'm going to implement this inc end. I'm going to create a getter and setter for it. Let's do something like this. Getter and setter for counter value. All right? Now I want to bind to this counter value. And I want to change this to counter. Or count. Oh, just count. Up until now, just a simple class. Okay, everyone all right with this code? Cool. All right. So I've got this counter value. I'm using it internally in my component, and I know that what the compiler is going to do with this. It's going to take my counter and split it. It will be a counter property, bind to a counter property, and an event named counter change. So I'll implement it right here in my component. I can mark this one with input, because I'm going to have an input named count, not counter. And I'm going to create an output. Output, count, change, new event, emitter from Angular. And each time I'm setting a new count, I just want to take this count change and emitting the new value. This counter, where is it? This count. All right? Everything okay? Everyone okay with this? Cool. So this count. Let's increment. Let's decrement. And let's try to use it. So it's going to be a disaster or a success. Not a number, because let's take this val and start with a value. And it works. So again, the message is, once you understand all those special characters and what the compiler do with those characters, with those binding banana in box, asterisks and the stuff, it's very easy to write your own, because the implementation is straightforward. It's just simple Angular. There is nothing special here. You just need to know what the name of the events that the compiler generate. Cool? Ready for the last one, or that's it? No, I've got like 25 more. No? Let's do a quick last one. The ng class. Because it's a little bit different. Once again, I can create an input of checkbox, use the banana in a box, ng model, banana, box, the flag equals to true. I'll create styles array. Let's say that we've got a danger, color red, and our h2, we say danger, and we use the ng class. An object, say, put the class danger if flag. Okay? Cool. Let's see if it works. Almost. Let's see why. What? Where? Yeah, thank you. Okay? Works. This directive is a little bit different because it's not reshaping the elements. So we're going to work with a Angular renderer, the class that's in charge to render stuff to the template. If I want to implement my own directive, like ng class, I will create a directive. Let's call it class. This is simple bindings, so I don't need anything special here. No special characters. I can go to my class directive. I can say I've got an input with the same name of the directive. It will accept a value. Actually, it's going to accept some kind of an object. And then you can do whatever you like here. You just need to understand what's going on. I've got an object with a key and a boolean. And one of the ways to do it, I don't know, maybe to run on the keys, to do like a for each, and for each key, I can check if this key is true. And if it is, I just need to add class to my element. So I need the element, and I need the renderer. And if I got both of them, I can come here and say this renderer add class to this element, native element. Which class should I add is this key. Else, I'm running out of time. I've got 5 seconds. Let's do it in 5 seconds. Remove class from this element key. Let's try to use it. So instead of ng class, let's do a dd class. Under pressure. Ooh, it's blinking red. It said that I need to go. Or it's just ng class. No? No one here. All right. And it's still working. We just built an ng class in 5 seconds. Thank you very much. All right, let's yeah, that's magic. Aha. All right. My message on this talk, it was very technical. It was a live coding show just to show you that once you take a little bit of time and understand a little bit, dig inside. Don't just use those asterisks, those symbols, those templates and take it as an obvious thing. Take your time, learn what's the compiler actually, how it understands it, and it will open for you a lot of opportunities to write all of those magic directives. And as hopefully, as you've seen, it's very simple, basic Angular, and nothing special. All right? So thank you very much. And I'll see you around. I'll be out there with this. And like I promised, ready? Ready? Be careful. It's like it's cheap. It will cut you. It will cut you. All right. Thank you.